Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach, and this is my review of The Last Boy Scout from, I believe it was December of 1991. Boy, oh boy, when this thing came out, I saw this in the theater and then the Dollar Theater, and then I can't remember if the theater on base that my dad was at was free or it was just really cheap, but man, oh geez, I probably saw this whole thing probably 7 or 8 times in the theater. Absolutely loved it. And then, I don't know, I saw it once or twice in the last 28 years since it came out. Last Boy Scout is a Shane Black written, Tony Scott directed, Joel Silver produced action comedy. Has an interesting, kind of history. It was Bruce Willis. He had basically just peaked. A lot of these big stars, they'll peak, and then they'll have a flop, and then they're not popular, and then they have a comeback. The funny thing is that a lot of times you remember, like at the time when they're out of favor and they're just doing like dud movies like Striking Distance, you're like, oh my gosh, his career's over. And then 2 years later, he's in Pulp Fiction. So, you know what I mean? Don't feel too sorry for, 1990s Stallone or Bruce Willis. Believe me, in 2 or 3 years, they're going to have a massive hit and be back on top. Anyway, he had, Moonlighting, and then he had Die Hard 1 and 2. And things were going really great for him. And then he had Hudson Hawk in spring of 1991, and it was a massive, humiliating flop. But the way that movies are, by the time that came out, he had already filmed The Last Boy Scout. So it was this weird thing where it was supposed to be this big hit, but people were feeling like, Bruce Willis's career is over. There's also this one, it sounds kind of funny to say this, but it's true. He started going bald really quickly, and it was weird, and everyone was talking about it. As someone who's middle-aged, I can tell, like, when you're young, you think, I'm just gonna, every year I'm gonna get a year older, but it doesn't really work like that. Like, you'll look the same for, 5 or 6 years, and then you'll age 5 years in, a year and a half. And then it'll kind of stabilize. Well, that happened to him. He suddenly aged 5 years in a year and a half, and it was shocking to people. And then he started playing instead of playing the hip city guy, he started playing the broken down, cop and detective and Navy SEAL. And so he basically entered a whole another phase of his career. But at this point, people kind of didn't know what to do with them. It's you don't look young and hip. You look like Bruce Willis's dad suddenly. What's going on? So the movie came out, and everyone was like, his last movie's a flop. The next movie is going to be a flop. And it came out, and I remember it doing pretty darn good. I just looked it up, and it looked like it was actually, I don't know if I'd call it a flop. It had a $75 million budget according to Wikipedia, and it made $55 million. Okay, I'm gonna start over because I don't know if I said 75,000. It had a $75 million budget, and it made 55 million in the U.S. and then 59 overseas. So it made 125 million based off a $75 million budget. But supposedly the sweet spot for making a profit is about 2.5 times what you spent on the budget. So but those are very loose rules. That doesn't count all of the DVD it would have been VHS mostly back then, but it was a huge hit on VHS, cable, DVD later for a while. So this is about Bruce Willis plays a guy named Joe Hallenbeck. He's an ex-Secret Service guy who was kind of like a hero for protecting the president, Jimmy Carter in this case, because it's a 1991 film. For some reason, all the times I saw it, I don't know why I never looked at the actor playing the president and saw it was supposed to be a Jimmy Carter type, because they don't say Jimmy Carter, they just say the president. For some reason, all the times I saw it, I just saw generic old white guy, so I thought it was a fictional president. So I always imagined that he got kicked out of the Secret Service just a few years before the events of this movie, but it obviously must have been, probably like a decade earlier. So he gets kicked out of the Secret Service. He's protecting a senator who's basically like torturing, beating a woman. But it's power, so the senator stays in power, and Joe Hallenbeck gets kicked out of the Secret Service. He has to be a detective. He's got alcoholism problems. He's got a cheating wife. He's got a daughter who doesn't respect him. Things are rough. And then into his life comes Jimmy Dix, played by Damon Wayans. There's so many Wayans. It's Damon Wayans. And Damon Wayans is great. He started off, he's one of the Wayans brothers. He was actually, I believe he was on Saturday Night Live for like one season, and he got in trouble, and he either got fired or he got quit, or he quit because he was going to get fired. One of those situations. So then he was on In Living Color, and then I think this was his first big movie. He was in things like Earth Girls Are Easy. I'm so old. I'm so old, and I just know old things that old people know. You young whipsnaps don't know about Earth Girls Are Easy. But anyway, so he plays Jimmy Dix, $1 million. He had the $1 million arm, football player, quarterback, and he got kicked out because of gambling. He also had some drug dependency issues. So they're a couple of down on their luck guys. So what happens is Jimmy Dix's girlfriend, played by weirdly much less pretty Halle Berry. Halle Berry at the 1991. I mean, she was pretty, but she's like 20 times prettier now. She has this really stupid haircut that I think I even remember at the time thinking it was a stupid haircut. It was just kind of like salt and pepper. It looked dumb. So she gets killed, and we get into a whole Shane Black twisty, turny story. The thing is, like I said, I have very, very fond memories of this movie. And for the first 20 minutes, like, I wasn't that into it. It's a lot of cool guys, like roasting people, and I felt like they didn't work that well. I had read the Wikipedia right before I watched it, and they were talking about how like the script had changed like numerous times, like massive rewrites, and it kind of felt like Shane Black was just off screen, just throwing just random insults and roasts and bants, and they would just say them. It wasn't quite gelling. And then once again, I don't know what the hell is with this. 1 hour in, the movie starts clicking or becomes a different movie. Suddenly, basically, you meet his daughter like an hour into it, and then all the twisty turny plots and the personal growth that Damon Wayans and Bruce Willis's character have to go through. All of a sudden, it starts clicking. I was like, why was the daughter not introduced like in the first hour of the movie? She shows up like 1 hour in, and then it really, really starts clicking, and it gets good. It's exciting. It's funny. It's fun. It's emotional. It's dramatic. It just gets freaking amazing. And I'm reading the Wikipedia, and they're talking about originally the ending was a shootout on boats in the fog. I'm like, oh my gosh, this has one of the best endings ever, where he's at the football stadium, and then Jimmy Dix gets on a horse, and they establish, like an hour earlier, that Jimmy Dix rides horses, and so then he jumps on a horse, grabs a football, throws it, hits a senator, blocks the shot from the really great villain Milo by Taylor Negron. That was one of the best. It's hard to explain why Milo is such a great villain, because again, reading like about the original draft, originally he was like this really like almost like a Saw, like the bad guy from Saw. He did snuff films. Now he's just like a really creepy guy who threatens people and hits people and kills people. But Taylor Negron's performance is it's one of the all-time great. And like the chopped up 6th draft script, I don't know if reading the script I would have said this is a great character. You really want, like, it's just like generic bad guy, but oh man, it's good. So a great ending, fairly pared down. There's a lot of like TV show stuff. It's like, oh, we're being chased in those really giant boxy cars that still existed in 1991. let's go in some trail up in the hills or surrounding Los Angeles, like 8 million TV shows have done before, and let's just spin around and just do some Rockford Files stuff. There aren't like giant stunts, giant set pieces. There's nothing like that. It's just really, really good, cool, funny once it kind of like finds its rhythm about 30 to 60 minutes into the movie. So it's definitely a recommend if you haven't seen it. I would be surprised if any of you haven't seen it. It's one of those movies that kind of everyone sees growing up. It's been on cable a freaking million trillion times. It's also one of these weird subcategory of sports movies or movies with heavy sports elements, and I hate sports. And I love this. I also love Any Given Sunday. Oh man, Any Given Sunday is amazing, and I hate sports. So anyway, definitely recommend. 28 years later, oh, pretty much almost to the day. Go check it out. Last Boy Scout. I did try to watch not the last Girl Scout, Last Kiss Goodbye. I couldn't get through it. You're talking about, Last Boy Scout starts a little slow. That one starts really slow. You just gotta, oh, we're having the Christmas party. This is my boyfriend is, oh, and then I'm just, oh, geez, come on. Oh, come on. If anyone's got a time code, a minute to skip to, I was on a live stream with Cecil, who's got the diversity, is his channel called Diversity and Cecil? He was talking about he didn't start watching the Watchmen HBO TV show until episode 5. I was like, oh, that's a really good, yeah, just start at 5. Yeah, you'll like it a lot more. So if anyone can give me a time code, it's like skip to minute 47 and then just finish the rest of I don't actually remember. I mean, I liked it okay. I think I saw it once or twice in my whole life, but yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will, I'm watching like 4 different movies all mixed up. I'm watching Force Awakens. I'm halfway through that. I'm watching Transporter 2, which I freaking love. So yeah, I'll be doing those in the next few days. Thanks for watching. Bye.